Aloha, I'm Lyla Berg, and we're at the Hawai'i State Supreme Court ready to talk with the people who inform, inspire, and impact our everyday lives. Thank you for tuning in to Island Focus. So we're at the Judiciary History Center.
Yes, and the Judiciary History Center is an administrative program of the Hawaii State Judiciary. We are based here at Aliʻiōlani Hale, which is the home of the Supreme Court for the state of Hawaii, a very historic building. During the Kingdom period, this was the capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii. The Judiciary History Center is an administrative program of the Hawaii State Judiciary, and we're kind of like charged with being a public outreach for the judiciary. So in addition to the museum space that we have here, we have 3 galleries here in the History Center. We also do other programs. So we do school tours from 2 through college, both here at the Supreme Court and the First Circuit Court of Hawaii. We also do teacher professional development. So we work with teachers throughout the school year, both public and private school teachers, and we work with them on various law-related and civics-related matters, so that they have materials that they can take into the classroom.
I love this artwork. It's just so relevant.
Yeah, it definitely is. And particularly in this gallery here, what we're trying to do is we're trying to tell people about the history of law here in Hawaii, both pre-contact and post-contact. We're talking a little bit about the kapu system, and then we go into the transition from the late 1700s to this more hybrid system of justice that we developed here in Hawaii.
Great, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
I'm here with Justice Simeon Acoba, and I want to thank you very much for taking the time
Thank
to
you,
be with
Lyla,
us.
for having me.
Growing up in Hawaii, as you have, did you ever expect to have the career that you now can look back on?
Not really. I grew up in Kalihi and I went to Farrington and high school, and we had a lot of pride in Farrington and in what we could do for ourselves. But I've been nurtured through, public schools and encouraged by my teachers and supported by my family. So I owe them a lot in terms of where I am today.
Where are you today as justice?
Well, I'm a former justice of the Supreme Court. I truly enjoyed serving on the court. I think the court is so significant, especially in Hawaii, where we value diversity and tolerance and equality. And those are virtues that work well with our constitutions, the Hawaii Constitution and the United States Constitution, in terms of the Bill of Rights and democracy. What was good about the court is that we were able to apply many of the ideals that are native to Hawaii, like the feeling of wahana, working together, the spirit of aloha.
Respect.
Those things work well, actually, with the law.
How is what you're doing now coming from your history?
After retiring from the Supreme Court, I thought one area that seems significant to the state was the University of Hawaii, which promises an equal education to everyone. And the kinds of areas that the university is involved in are generally the same public law areas that we dealt with on the court. So I still try to keep in touch with the law by, I do teach a course at Richardson School of Law.
With such a varied professional background that you have, how are you applying that right now?
Well, one of the things I am doing is serving as chair of the Access to Justice Commission. And this is a commission that was established in 2008 by the Hawai'i Supreme Court. But it encompasses different segments of our community. For example, we have judges, lawyers on the commission, as well as representatives from the law school, legal service providers. Those are organizations that provide legal services to people who are indigent. And we also have representatives from the Hawaii Paralegal Association. The governor has a representative, as well as representatives from the Senate and the House and the Attorney General.
And the purpose of the commission?
The purpose is to remove barriers to access to justice for people of low and moderate income. So these could be barriers in terms of economic barriers, social barriers, cultural barriers, or language barriers. But the whole idea is to have a statewide focus on how we can open up the court system, the judicial system, the legal system to everyone, so that as much as possible, economic standing or cultural barriers should not be an issue.
Well, you've definitely lived your life from the values of your family and your upbringing, and definitely from Hawaii, and I want to thank you for your time. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
We've been chatting with Justice Simeon Acoba here at the Hawaii State Supreme Court. Thank you. We know that children are our future, and they are very much our present. And we're here today with Christine Altwies with the Hawaii International Child Organization. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Please explain what this wonderful organization is about and your role, and what can we look forward to?
Hawaii International Child was founded in 1975 on the Big Island in Hawaii by a wonderful man, Monroe Woolard, and the mission initially was to help bring children from Korea to Hawaii, and we brought 3,000 children in the early years, and we've also worked in China and Russia and all over the former Soviet Union, and brought children to Hawaii who needed families, who were orphaned children. And over the years we've done that in Hawaii and also on the mainland. And in the last few years the focus of the organization has changed a little bit as intercountry adoption goes through some growing pains and maybe a slow death. We're not sure, we're watching. But it's really exciting to be able to shift the focus with purpose to the local families and the local children a little more. So we're now looking more at local birth moms and their needs, local children in foster care, ongoing family counseling services, pretty much anything related to adoption and foster care.
I love the descriptor of international, because here in Hawaii we are all international. We're nationally one citizenry. But when you talk about adoption, what kind of activities are, I guess, processes involved that you can help with?
We can do anything related to adoption. We can do the process of the actual adoption from wherever to a family here in Hawaii, whether they're adopting from China or Taiwan or anywhere else. We can help them with their immigration work, which is required to bring a child into this U.S. country. We can help them with the training and preparation. There are lots of documents that are required by all the parties who are involved. You know, it's a very lengthy process, but the part that excites us the most is seeing the children coming home to Hawaii to their new families and working with the families over time as the children and the families change and grow and need support in different ways.
So you stay connected with the families?
We stay connected. I actually am a wedding officiant, and I performed a wedding a couple weeks ago for one of our children who I placed when he was 3 years old. Wow. And now he's marrying, and I was able to marry him. And so we see grandchildren born and kids go to college, and yeah, it's a lifelong process and a lifelong relationship.
And what a gift for you to be part of that process that might start with a little sadness of children not having a home, but then finding a home and creating a life.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because one of our new focuses is trying to help people understand that adoption does start out of trauma. And while some of us come to the process excited and full of joy and hope, we have to keep in mind that there are other experiences going on at the same time as ours. And so a lot of the work has to do with helping people empathize more with everyone involved, and I think that leads to a better outcome ultimately.
And wouldn't the world be wonderful if we had competent parents, happy parents, and really healthy children?
The world would be a better place for sure, and parenting is pretty much the toughest job you can do, and I know that as a parent. And you know, it's exciting to be involved in the lives of people who are trying to be better parents.
And a magic moment for you, very briefly, in your role.
Oh boy, so many. I wake up every morning grateful for my work, and my staff, I think, feels similar, that we are really gifted with this mission of changing people's lives and being present to these great moments, which is a gift, and we know that and we cherish that. For me, all 5 of my children are gifts, and my most recent child, he's 12, I got a year and a half ago from China. It was not an intended placement. We happened to have him come into our lives by accident, and he has changed all of us immeasurably, more than we've changed him, I think. And it's just a reminder to me that children are very, very important, and if we pay attention to them and how they can affect us, we can do a better job, and everybody can win.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we know there are no accidents.
There are no accidents.
All opportunities and serendipities.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lyla.
We've been chatting with Christine Altwies with Hawaii International Child. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me in my conversation with Michelle Acosta with the Volunteer Legal Services Hawaii. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Explain to us a little more about what the volunteer piece in legal services means.
The volunteer in our name means that we're an organization that facilitates pro bono service. So we leverage the work that private attorneys can do for our community with no fee.
How exciting it is to work with such generous professionals.
We're very fortunate in the state of Hawaii that we have a good natured private bar that gives so much of their time and their expertise to helping the people who would otherwise not be able to afford their services in the current market rates.
We're here in the Supreme Court building, and the judiciary branch of government is kind of a mystery for much in the public. So how do you help them be more comfortable, I guess?
Well, for the most part, the folks who come to our services are actually facing legal issues already. So it's not a matter of educating them about our 3 branches of government, but really addressing their immediate needs. So the majority of work that we do are actually in family court, family law cases, divorce, child custody, visitation, guardianship of minors, adoptions. And so for that, we help them maneuver through the court system and understanding what their rights and responsibilities are and how to get through the process itself for the immediate issue that they're facing.
As an attorney yourself, or at least with a law degree, it must be very gratifying that you have colleagues so generous and willing to be so serious with people who maybe don't have any other options.
Yes, so I actually started out as a volunteer attorney with this organization, and that's how I became aware of the organization and the work it does. It's been around for 35 years, and so we've been very, very fortunate to have volunteer attorneys in Hawaii that continue to support the organization and its mission of serving the people. I have to say that my colleagues are not mandated by any rule or law here in the state of Hawaii, as opposed to other states that require attorneys to do pro bono service as part of their licensure.
And so how do you interest attorneys to participate?
So for a lot of attorneys, it is about, having them understand the mission, that there's a lot of people in the state of Hawaii who cannot afford legal services because of financial barriers, of social barriers, and they need the help in order to make ends meet in the state of Hawaii. So for example, if you're faced with a private landlord-tenant issue, an eviction, you may not have access to an attorney. And so organizations like Volunteer Legal Services can link you to an attorney, a legal tool that you may not have access to otherwise.
So there are a lot of serious cases and a lot of serious issues that people face. How do you manage and bring joy, keeping healthy, and to your volunteer partners?
You may internalize a lot of the issues and cases that come through our doors. How do you keep healthy is by focusing on the good work that we do, the impact that we have on individual lives. For example, we have a grandmother who came in with an autistic grandchild. The mother is a homeless person, father is incarcerated, and so for her to figure out how to find a way to establish legal guardianship with limited means and having her hands full with a granddaughter who has special needs. And we were able to match her with a family law attorney who helped her from beginning to end, and seeing how she was relieved just at having that connection with the legal professional. That's something that allows us to keep going.
Well, your leadership as well as your passion and your good spirit really are contagious. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
We've been chatting with Michelle ACOSTA with the Volunteer Legal Services Hawaii, and thank you for being here with us. In the Law Library of the Supreme Court.
Yes, we are the Supreme Court Law Library, which is the headquarters of the Hawaii State Law Library System. So this library is here in Honolulu, and we have branch libraries on the neighbor island courthouses too.
And what can someone find here besides books?
They can find legal information, court forms, sample forms, packets. Sometimes there's a lot of information online, but you can't get it all online, so we have helpful packets here to help people access the courts.
The beauty of this place.
I love working in our beautiful building. We were founded when King Kamehameha III promulgated the first constitution of the Kingdom of Hawaii. He created the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court Law Library was born.
And so anyone can have access here?
Yes, we are open to the public, and we would love it more if more of the public would come in, because sometimes people don't know that we're here. And we are one of 2 sources of free legal information here on Oʻahu, and on the neighbor islands, our law library system is the only source of legal information.
There's an effort with the judiciary for public access.
Yes, and I think that's one of my jobs, is trying to reach out into the community to let them know that we're here, that we're a bunch of friendly law librarians that want to help them. And I think some people are intimidated by going to the courthouses to get information, and that's why we wanted to open our law library doors to help people.
Well, thank you so much for your generosity. I have the pleasure of talking with Ryan SANADA with the Hawaii Employers Council, and I want to thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Lyla.
And you bring a background in...
I have a legal background in labor and employment law. So before joining the council, I practiced labor and employment law here in Hawaii for about 10 years with a private law firm. Before that, I had a short stint as a prosecutor, which is kind of weird to go from criminal law to the employment law, but that's the path that I've taken to get to where I am today.
Well, I'm sure if we talk long enough, we'll find some segue in
yes,
that experience.
We always do.
But the Hawaii Employers Council, what is their purpose and mission?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. So we basically provide Hawaii's businesses with HR and labor relations services, which means that we help them with things like HR consultation.
Human resources.
Human resources, yes. Negotiating contracts, managing contracts. We provide a lot of training for supervisors, HR professionals, executive management staff, and that sort of thing.
So it's a professional organization that offers guidance also for large businesses, small businesses, or?
Correct. So we are a professional nonprofit organization, and we're membership driven. So we don't have clients, we have members because we're a nonprofit. And our members run the gamut for small businesses to Hawaii's largest companies. And the industry is run from construction, hospitality, hotels, pretty much you name it, and we cover them.
So you provide a lot of different services and different opportunities. Why would a business want to, or an employer want to connect with you?
Good question. So as a former representative and small business owner, I'm sure you know that Hawaii's employment laws are very strict towards the employer side. And one thing that I've learned in my practice is that a lot of companies tend to make decisions based on what they think is a law, and what they think is a law is based on either what they think other companies are doing, or what their uncle, who's not a lawyer, tells them that their company does, or quite frankly, what they read on Google on the internet. And that's a pretty dangerous way to conduct business, in my opinion. I've taken the philosophy that the best way to handle employment decisions is to be proactive. In other words, the best defense is a good offense, because I always strive to prevent lawsuits from happening before they become a problem, right? I believe companies that don't want to call an attorney ahead of time to get legal advice are sometimes being penny wise and pound foolish, because they don't want to call a lawyer and get charged for a phone call. Whereas when they do that, what happens is down the road, they might get sued for making an honest mistake, and then they pay huge legal fees down the road. The beauty of being a member of HEC is that once you join our company, your phone calls are unlimited and free.
That's very much of an incentive. And I appreciate what you suggest is that being proactive is not necessarily being fear-driven.
Right.
At all.
Right. You're correct. It's not being fear-driven, but we have to be cognizant of the fact that the laws in Hawaii and federally are always changing, and they make it harder and harder to do business here in Hawaii. And I've seen many companies when I was in private practice who got sued for making a pretty honest mistake that they had no ill will or bad intentions, but they're either misinformed or misunderstood what the law was. Our job is to give people the confidence and peace of mind to make the right decisions when they want to do something for their workplace and not worry about getting sued down the road.
And I would imagine too that part of your role is so that the employers don't feel alone here.
Right.
Not just information, but they also feel supported.
Right, we're here to help. I feel like people in human resources and labor relations, they work really hard, but they don't get the recognition sometimes that other employees might get. And you can call it almost a thankless job in some ways, and we're here to help those people feel like they should be appreciated.
Well, and we appreciate you and the work that you do. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Lyla.
We've been chatting with Ryan SANADA with the Hawaii Employers Council. Thank you for joining us as well. It's always so great to hear about new ideas and efforts to make our communities and our families healthier. And today we're talking with Lisa Grew, who's Executive Director for Parents Incorporated. Parents Inc. What a neat name.
Yeah. Parents Inc. is actually an acronym, and it stands for Providing Awareness, Referrals, Education, Nurturing, Therapy, Support.
Wow. And is that what your organization is about?
Yes, we're about supporting parents and giving them tools and resources and education and advocacy to be the best parents they can be in raising our children today, which we know is a challenging time, and it's challenging at different milestones of our child's lives, different developmental stages. So we're here to support them and offer the help they need when it gets challenging.
You know, I think perhaps the times now are even more, require more of us because of technology and other issues. But you know, I was a single mom, and it was challenging then. And my son is 30.
I think parenting has always been challenging. And you're right, it does change with the times. We do have technology now, which some of the parents are not aware of. They've got to be one step ahead of their children. And let's face it, they know way more than we do when it comes to technology. But the relationship is the most important thing about being a parent. We role model to our children. So we want to make sure that we're that appropriate role model. I always say our children are leaders of tomorrow. So what kind of leader do you want them to turn out to be? Right? They need to have that moral compass. They need to be able to make sound judgments about our communities, our schools, our government. So if we don't have them as our leaders and they don't have the life skills and the tools needed to be that leader, then you know it's going to affect our world. It impacts our world.
That's a lot of pressure on parents.
It is a lot of pressure.
So what services do your organization offer, and how can a parent really take advantage?
Well, I'm a parent myself as well, and one of the things that is remarkable about being a parent is there's challenges and there's so many rewards. But it comes with a whole lot of other things, like sometimes guilt and shame and feeling like we're inadequate, like we don't have all the information we need, we don't know how to handle situations as they arise, and we're not supposed to have all that. It's not innate. We weren't just born with all the answers.
There's no manual.
There's no manual to become a parent. So Parents Inc. offers parenting classes. And it's a really great group of parents. It's your peers, you come together, it's a support network. Oftentimes when you leave the class, you've developed, bonded with your peers, and you take off as friends and have that support from there on. But we really offer a whole host of resources and instruction and different tools because all of our children are different, right? We have to raise them differently based on, you know, their personalities and their attitudes. But there are things that we know today scientifically that is the best way to parent is as a positive parent and not in a negative manner.
Well, and so many of us, though, were raised without the role modeling that you talk about.
Yes.
Or we were raised with different emotional impositions.
Exactly.
Do you help with that too?
We do, and one of the first things we do is start with the parent, right? Because parenthood is the core of the family. So we need to make sure that we grow along with that. We got to grow as parents. We've got to have the role modeling life skills available to teach our children. If we don't have those skills ourselves, which you said we weren't taught, you're right. A lot of times we're focused on academics and you know how to do things in society, but what happened to the life skills we need? So we need to pass those on to our children, and if we don't have them, Parents Inc. offers them. And it's nothing to be worried about or concerned about because a lot of us are in the same boat.
And they're informal sessions that you offer.
Yes, they're very informal sessions, and it's just a group of parents that get together. It can be a different day of the week, make it convenient for your work schedules, for childcare, that kind of thing. We just provide information for you. You know, you take it home and try it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but there's a lot of different techniques and tools and resources that we offer that weren't known back when we were being raised.
Well, your passion for this effort tells me that being involved also and attending classes is something that would help all of us.
It will, and the relationship is the most important thing. So I hear a lot of parents say, well, once they're 18, they're adult, I'm done. And we know that that's not true because you're a parent for life, and we want your children, our children, to come to us at all times for that guidance, for that love, that security, that safety. So we want to be there for them and be able to offer that no matter what age they are.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for giving us a little more information on how we can parent better.
Yes, thank you.
We've been chatting with Lisa Grew, Executive Director for Parents Inc. Thank you for joining us, and thank you. Mahalo to the Hawaii State Supreme Court for hosting us today, and to you for tuning in to Island Focus. I'm Lyla Berg. Aloha and malama pono. Take care of each other. See you soon.